In episode 2, John wakes up in the camp of the dolls, and at first he's greeted by this one doll that just wants to torture him. It's actually the doll that knocked him out in the first place. Her name's Ashley, but he's saved when Quiet and Dollface, whose real name, by the way, is Krista, walk into the tent. And at first, all John cares about is seeing Quiet. She was the whole motivating factor for getting out of New San Francisco, and he is thrilled to be reunited with her. But she has to remind him, John, I'm happy to see you too, but I'm not the only one. Here's your sister. And Krista has waited for this moment for so long. I mean, John has waited to be reunited with Quiet for 7 months. Krista's been waiting to be reunited with her brother for years, decades, and now she finally is. But unfortunately, John doesn't really care. It's super awkward. I mean, they share an awkward hug, but it's obvious that John doesn't really know how to react. He does, though, ask, hey, what's up with the masks and all of this? And she explains that the dolls are a group that she created, and they even the playing field because the insiders are thriving while the outsiders are struggling. So their whole mission is to just even it up. The reality, though, is that Krista met the founding members of the dolls at a get-together that her boyfriend was a part of. And first, Krista shows up, she sits down, and she finds out real quickly that women aren't allowed to participate. They're banished to the bathroom. And when Krista got to the bathroom, what she found out was that the women were actually the ones making the deals, while the men were outside doing a dick measuring contest. I'm not even kidding about that. They literally would get together and measure it, which, after puberty, it's done growing. I mean, there's no... Anyway, she talked all the girls into the fact that they don't really need the guys anymore. They can do this on their own. So they all walked out of the bathroom and they made it known. We're leaving all of you and we're taking your product. And then they started killing the guys once there was a little bit of pushback. But that was the formation of the dolls, and it has expanded and grown, and now they're a quasi-women army. Krista explains all of this as they walk over to the clothing tent so that John can get a new outfit. It is a bit awkward for John after he puts on the new fit, and it seems like he interrupts a conversation between Quiet and the girl that Quiet's hooking up with. John obviously wanting a relationship with her still. As he continues to try on some more stuff, Krista tries to converse with him and learn about what he's been up to, but he doesn't really have great answers. He basically tells her, yeah, I've been milkmanning. That's about it. Krista's kind of surprised at John's lackadaisical approach to all this, and when she gets called away, Quiet has to ask John, are you serious right now? Like, that's your sister. What the hell's wrong with you? And John admits that he thought he would feel some certain way, but he just doesn't because he doesn't know her. And to make matters worse, she remembers more about their past than he does. To change the subject, though, Quiet says, hey, come on, I want to show you something that you'll definitely remember. And it's John's old car, although she's made some modifications to it. She's calling the car Roadkill now, and it is prepped for battle. After looking over all the changes that he did, he remembers that he hasn't told Quiet the most exciting thing, the family cabin. He pitches her on going to the cabin, living a life there. Just the two of them, escaping all of this, escaping the danger. But Quiet tells him, John, that sounds great, but I can't. I'm planning on entering the tournament. And John is floored. He can't believe that she's willing to enter the tournament and put her life at risk, but she's going to, and it sparks a pretty big argument between the two. John just wanting to protect her, but Quiet telling him, John, you don't even know me, and walking off. As she exits, though, she sees something a little bit surprising. It's a new member of the dolls, at least somebody she doesn't recognize. It's a girl who appears to be trying to steal a car. And when she approaches the girl plays it off like she's a part of the dolls, but Quiet knows better. She knows everybody in the group, and she knows that this girl is not a part of it. And this mystery girl had infiltrated their camp, stolen a bunch of goods, and was trying to get away. But she was obviously called by Quiet, who decided, I'm going to tie you to a tree, I'm going to give you a hatchet, and you can figure out the rest. The girl, though, goes by the name Mayhem. And yes, it was a self-given nickname, which are always the best kind. She looks to be maybe 20 years old, and she also seems to be a pathological liar, but now she's stuck to a tree. As Quiet was apprehending the thief, John went to go speak to his sister because if he wasn't going to get through to Quiet, he thought he might be able to get through to Krista. He tries to convince Krista to not let Quiet enter the race. And she says, first of all, we haven't decided who's going to represent our team, but yeah, she's a candidate. And second of all, you're not going to tell me what to do. And third of all, you're not going to tell her what to do. If she wants to enter the race, John, she's going to enter the race. Krista, though, then shakes her head and says, I can't believe you. I mean, after all these years, you haven't even asked what happened to our parents. And John says, well, is it a good story or is it a bad story? And he can tell by Krista's face that it's a bad story, so he doesn't want to hear it. She then leaves the tent and she calls all the dolls together to make an announcement about the upcoming tournament. They're going to hold their own race to figure out who will represent the dolls. Anybody that wants to enter can enter. Obviously, Quiet is the first one to enter. She's the most logical choice. She's the best driver out of everybody. But you do have some other people enter. Other girls enter. And when John tries to enter, he's told, oh, you can't enter. You're not a doll. And that's when Mayhem, who is pretty far away but can overhear the conversation, starts laughing and saying, oh, okay, I'm sorry. I'm not a doll either, but it just sounds like you might be a little worried that you're going to get beat by a guy. Obviously, none of them are worried about that, but she does have a point. So Krista is going to let the guys, there's another guy named Jeremy, she's going to let them enter the race as well. It doesn't take long for John and Quiet to be the only two left, and it seems like John is about to edge Quiet in this race, but then Quiet shows the modification she made to Roadkill by pressing one button, pulling a Fast and the Furious, and blowing right by John across the finish line, winning the race. Although she can't really handle that power, and she crashes her car. And as soon as John crosses the finish line, he goes to check on her, but Quiet tells him, John, I don't need your help. She leaves John pretty puzzled as to what to do next. She then notices that Mayhem is gone, and she doesn't really care about not finding Mayhem. She wants her hatchet back. She starts walking around the woods to try to find this girl, and John decides to go along with her. And it doesn't take long for them to find Mayhem chained up to another tree. And Mayhem says, guys, you got to get out of here. And that's because Mayhem was taken by cave people who had a gripe with her. And when these cave people heard Quiet and John coming, they hid, and then they ambushed them. And Quiet tries to make it clear to these people, look, I don't care what you do with the girl, I just want my hatchet back, but they're cave people, they don't really understand. A fight ensues, and that's when you see that the chemistry between Quiet and John is still there. They kill all of them, and they even surprise themselves because 7 months off, they haven't really skipped a beat. After this, though, Quiet drags Mayhem back to camp, and she tells her, you're staying with the dolls, because you're not going to survive out there on your own. And Mayhem isn't a really big fan of that idea, but it doesn't seem like she has a great other option. Meanwhile, John went to just have a think near a pond because he doesn't really know what to do next, and that's when Krista walks up. She can tell what's bothering John. She heard about what happened in the woods, and she says, hey, it's got to suck. You get reunited with somebody that you've been wanting to reunite with for so long, only to find out they're a completely different person. Huh. Yeah, I wish I could relate. She then tells John that even though he doesn't agree with their mission, the walls are what killed their parents, so he should get on board. And as for Quiet, no matter how hard John tries, he's not going to be able to change her mind. So his sister's advice to him is, be there for her, support her. And after thinking on it, John decides, you know what, she's right. He goes over to Quiet, who is gearing up to leave for the race. She won't be the only one. She's going to have an escort to make sure that she arrives at the coordinates safely. But John tells her, it's pretty clear you don't need me, and I wish you all the best. But it turns out Quiet does need him, because she's decided that what happened in the woods needs to continue. They do make a good team, and she wants John to come along with her and ride shotgun. If she's going to win this race, she wants John by her side, and John is more than happy to oblige to that. But Krista knows that Roadkill will need upgrades, big upgrades. And she tells them, before you enter this race, you need to go get those upgrades in Diesel City. We also get introduced to another person who will be entering the race. It's a guy named Mr. Grimm, who was in an insane asylum, but somebody freed him because they really want him to enter, and he is more than happy to pick up his helmet and ride away from that place. Thank you so much for checking out this recap. Please consider subscribing to the channel and subscribing to my Patreon. Hit thumbs up if you liked it. Smash that thumbs down button if you thought it sucked. If you left a comment, I don't get back to you. I usually don't check the comments unless they're like a super comment. Also, if you don't see the next video up on the end screen, not to worry. It'll be up in a day or two.